Hey there everyone, Violeta here with my new series, Vi's Bookshelf. I'm going to be honest with you, this has absolutely nothing to do with gaming. And the closest it comes to my usual stuff is the random game to book translation or book to game, as is the case with The Witcher. Now this series is about me reviewing books that I have recently read, starting with today's book, Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. Now, going into reading this, I have not seen the movie, so I had no idea what I was in for. All I knew is that my cousin had read it, liked it, and handed it off to me. Now, I I have to say, it wasn't quite what I expected. I'm not sure what I expected, but it wasn't what I got. But that's not exactly a bad thing, because the book, while it starts off kind of slow, kind of the usual life of an American teenager, it started picking up pretty quickly. And I thought that the characters were quite interesting. I like Jacob, which is the main character who we follow throughout the book. And his personality is pretty fun, I have to admit. Now, I'm not going to spoil the plot for you because I would rather you guys go out and read it if it sounds interesting. But essentially, the idea is that Jacob has a beloved grandfather who has told him stories of these interesting and peculiar children. And that is where the book's namesake comes in. And eventually, Jacob finds said children. And then plot goes on. But I did like, the whole setup of the story was really cool. And my favorite part was something I have never seen before in a novel, was the use of old photographs that were actually in the book itself. Put in spots where the characters were actually looking at the same pictures I, as the reader, was. And that was a really cool touch that I haven't seen before. And honestly, I wasn't sure how much I would like it or if it would work or take away from the experience. But really, it just made it something new. And I have to say, I really liked the pictures that the author chose for it. The story itself, it took a little bit to get to the real action, but I think that what we saw, even in the slower parts, was necessary to kind of understand where everything was coming from. And the end was a bit abrupt. It was a bit, but I can see why they chose to end it there. And honestly, the day after I finished it, I went to Half Price Bookstore to try and find the sequel. So that should tell you how much I wanted to know what happened next. The characters were great. Miss Peregrine, the character on the title, is also great. And I love the children as well. They were all very interesting characters, though it was a bit hard to keep some of them straight at first, but you do eventually start putting names to the kids. And it was all really well done, and I was very impressed because this is the author's first novel, which I found extra impressive because, it's his first time, and that's pretty hard, actually. As a amateur writer myself, I was incredibly impressed with how well he managed to illustrate the world he was creating. Now, another thing that I do want to mention about this book is the copy that I have. It has a sort of a little blurb, well, not really a blurb, it's several pages worth of questions and answers from the author himself in the back, detailing, how did this idea come about? Where did he find all of these weird pictures? And what gave him the idea in the first place? And it was a very interesting read. He also included some pictures that, while he wanted to put in the book, didn't quite make it. So if you can find a copy with that interview in the back, I would recommend it because it's a very interesting read. So overall, my thoughts are very positive towards this book. I think the characters are great, the world building is great, and I'm very curious to see where the series goes. Now, I have heard that the movie isn't so great, but I haven't seen it, so I will reserve judgment. I do recommend this book for anyone who is interested in the sort of Harry Potter-esque type style. I feel like this book is a bit of a higher reading level than necessarily the first Harry Potter books were, but that's not a bad thing, I don't think. And to be fair, the main character, is older than Harry was at the beginning of his series. So, of course, it's going to be geared towards an older audience. The book is great. I highly recommend it. And I hope you guys like the beginning of this series because goodness knows, I read a lot. If I'm not writing, if I'm not playing a game, chances are, unless I'm asleep or eating, I am reading. So I hope to see you guys in the next episode, and I will see you guys later. If you liked it, please subscribe. I will put a link to, I guess, some retailers for buying this book in the description. And let me know if you have any books you think I should read. And maybe I will get to them and review them for you. I'm Violeta here at Last Level Press. Now go out and read, you guys. Bye! Oh, wrong hand. Bye!